Emma discovers she's pregnant, but chooses to keep it a secret from her husband, worried that it will only add to his already overwhelming financial and work-related stress. As the days go by, hiding the truth becomes more challenging. The physical signs grow harder to conceal, and the guilt of keeping such a big secret begins to weigh on her. Before we get into the full story, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Emma sat in the dimly lit bathroom, staring at the positive pregnancy test in trembling hands. A wave of emotions crashed over her: joy, fear, and uncertainty. She had always dreamed of becoming a mother, but the timing couldn't have been worse. Her husband, Daniel, had been under immense stress, struggling with his startup business. They had agreed to wait until they were financially stable before starting a family. She sank onto the cold bathroom floor, pressing a hand to her flat stomach. A life, their baby, was growing inside her, yet she couldn't bring herself to smile. She and Daniel had talked about having kids, but not now. Not when his startup was barely surviving, money was tight, and certainly not when his stress levels were at an all-time high. She had seen the exhaustion in his eyes and his voice's frustration when he talked about failed deals and looming deadlines. How could she possibly tell him now? Her mind raced through the possibilities. If she told him, would he panic? Would he resent her for adding to his burden? Or worse, what if he thought she had done this on purpose? A lump formed in her throat. She knew Daniel loved her, but love didn't erase stress. It didn't pay bills or make problems disappear. She could almost hear his voice in her head. Emma, we agreed to wait. How could this happen now? Tears welled in her eyes as she shoved the test deep into the drawer beneath the sink, hiding the truth along with it. Just for now. She needed time to think, to plan. Maybe once things got better, once Daniel's business stabilized, she could tell him. She stood up, glancing at herself in the mirror. Would he notice? Would he see the fear in her eyes? She quickly splashed cold water on her face, forcing a smile before stepping out of the bathroom. Everything okay? Daniel's voice called from the kitchen. Emma steadied herself. Yeah, just a headache. A lie. The first of many. As she walked toward him, she told herself she was protecting him, protecting them. But deep down, a nagging voice whispered the truth. Secrets had a way of coming out, and when they did, they could destroy everything. Hiding the truth had seemed like the right decision at first. But as the weeks passed, Emma realized just how fragile secrets could be. The morning sickness was relentless. She would wake up before Daniel, rush to the bathroom, and brace herself against the sink as waves of nausea hit her. She became an expert at masking her exhaustion, blaming it on long work hours or stress. But even as she tried to act normal, Daniel started noticing the changes. You've been eating less, he remarked one evening as she picked at her dinner. I'm just not that hungry, she replied quickly, forcing a smile. His brow furrowed, but he didn't push. Still, she could see the doubt in his eyes. Then came the clothes. Emma swapped her fitted tops for loose sweaters, hoping he wouldn't notice the small bump forming beneath them. But one evening, as they lay in bed, his hand brushed over her stomach, and she instinctively tensed. He pulled back slightly. Emma, are you okay? She forced a laugh, just a little bloated. Another lie. The real breaking point came at the grocery store. Emma had been feeling dizzy all morning, but she told herself it was nothing, just fatigue. But as she reached for a carton of milk, a sudden wave of lightheadedness hit her. The world spun, and before she could steady herself, her knees buckled. When she opened her eyes, a kind stranger was kneeling beside her, concern etched on their face. Are you all right? Emma barely had time to respond before she heard his voice. Daniel panicked and rushed toward her. Emma, what happened? She swallowed hard as he helped her up, his grip firm but filled with worry. I just got dizzy, she murmured, avoiding his eyes. Daniel's jaw tightened. This isn't just exhaustion, is it? The weight of her secret grew heavier. She had been so careful, so sure she could keep this from him. But now, Standing in the middle of a grocery store with her husband's worried gaze locked onto her, she knew she was running out of time. The silence in their bedroom was suffocating. Emma sat on the edge of the bed, her hands clasped tightly in her lap, her heart pounding so loudly she could barely hear her thoughts. Daniel stood a few feet away, arms crossed, his expression unreadable. She had run out of lies, run out of ways to hide the truth, and now there was no turning back. "There's something I need to tell you," she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. Daniel's eyes darkened with worry. "Emma, what's going on?" She took a shaky breath. "I'm pregnant." The words hung in the air, thick with tension. For a moment, Daniel didn't react. He just stood there, his expression frozen in shock. Then, slowly, he let out a breath, half disbelief, half something else she couldn't quite place. "Pregnant," he repeated as if he needed to hear it again to believe it. Emma nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. "I found out weeks ago. I didn't tell you because I was scared. I know we agreed to wait, and I didn't want to add to your stress, especially with the business and—" She didn't get to finish. Daniel took 2 quick steps toward her and knelt down, gently taking her hands in his. His grip was firm, grounding. "Emma, why would you go through this alone?" His voice wasn't angry. It wasn't accusing. It was hurt. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I thought I was protecting you." A small, breathy laugh escaped him, one that sounded more like relief than amusement. He reached up, brushing a tear from her cheek. "Emma, you should have told me. I don't care how hard things get. We're in this together." Her chest tightened. She had spent weeks imagining the worst, convinced that telling him would push him away. But now, looking into his eyes, she saw something she hadn't expected: joy. He placed a gentle hand on her stomach, his fingers trembling slightly. "We're having a baby." Emma let out a shaky laugh, nodding. "Yeah, we are." Daniel exhaled slowly, then pulled her into his arms, holding her like he never wanted to let go. "No more secrets, okay?" "Okay," she whispered. For the first time in months, the weight was gone. No more lies, no more fear, just love, hope, and the beginning of something beautiful.